It's the same music, though.
I let you live. And you wasted it.
Are they gonna show the flashback and then end season, or are they just ending season here?
Hey, you up?
Well, yeah, now.
Cool. All right, come on. Isaac wants to talk to us.
Okay. Just let me wake up. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
All right. It's your funeral if you make him wait.
Uh-huh.
Neil Druckmann, you truly are a stupid fucking idiot, bro. No more, like, see, okay. And before any, like, people get talking crazy, let me just use another example. Besides, like, the golden era, like, this is something different. I mean, well, they're both kind of video games adjacent. You know, game, show, and then game to a show, and then a video game just in general. Besides the golden era of Call of Duty, I don't care what y'all say, like, people, if you can't look past the launch, then I'm not trying to hear anything you're trying to say. But World War II, one of the better ones. But when it was during the launch era, and I'll be like someone who's like defending it, and then y'all do some dumb shit. Even though I know, hey, compared to what y'all have that's coming out recently, this is one of your better ones. You do something, I'm like, bro, it pisses me off because I'll be defending you and then you do something dumb. Same thing with this. Yeah, like, no one really says anything bad about the first game. Then we get to the second game, and then that's when the controversy happens. Multiple times, I've never been one who said, hey, Joel shouldn't die, get blah, 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 blah. Now, sure, it would have been nice to play as Joel. I was going to say with and pause on that. But play as Joel in the second game for a little bit. Not just that little section that's non-combat, but like, let's say they have you play in you're going from Salt Lake to Jackson, and y'all like come across something. Maybe that's like a couple hour sections, and then maybe you play like, as it's like leading up, you play like 30 minutes of like each year and different like moments, different patrols, whatever. It lets you get a little bit of story. And then we start bringing in Abby. Like, you could have had it, you could have done this so better. You bring in Abby. And so you have the trailer. I said this in last week's video. You have the trailer, and the trailer is basically presenting Abby. They show Abby and the wolves. This is trailer for the game. You show Abby and the wolves and the scars, and you show the little interactions. You show Ellie, and you show her interactions with Dina. You show some of the flashbacks, and it's kind of like the drama of her figuring out what's going on with Joel. Like, you see her in combat in little areas. You know that there's these groups called the Wolves. You don't know it's the WLF. You just hear them like you hear it's being spoken that they're wolves. And you hear about scars. So then any interactions, you just think, oh, this is some group that's like over to the side as Ellie's trying to figure out what's going on with Joel. That little bit I added about like showing that in the trailer with her and Ellie. So you have the drama aspect of Ellie figuring out Joel's lie. You have Joel in the trailer and him, like, you could have him kind of like piecing together pieces of like Ellie piecing it together and him trying to like, you know, die with the lie, no pun intended. And so basically you're showing their story, and then you're kind of just like, you could kind of have, you can have, you know, the marketing, like Neil Druckmann go and talk about like, yeah, you know, we start the story with them, and then, you know, this is a big world, and, you know, there's lots of characters in it, and lots of groups, da da da. So you just think, okay, you know, it's basically, you could still have it be like that, but now it's just kind of like tainted somewhat. But have it be with like, basically how I was explaining with the Mandalorian, how it should be called the Mandalorians. Book of Boba Fett should have been a Mandalorians season, and, you know, you can kind of have Din Djarin have his 1 or 2 seasons, and then you can have every season be like a different Mandalorian. Din Djarin, Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, something like that. But now in The Last of Us, okay, Joel with a little bit of Ellie. Now this one is Ellie with a little bit of Joel and a little bit of Abby, but that's what they're marketed as. And then, you know, you could have done that successful. Then it could have been Abby with a little bit of Ellie, with a little bit of whoever's going to be the next character. Or you could just have that be there, and if you do another one, then that just be your main 3, and then you can have other like spin-off games, and when they eventually did the show, spin-off shows. So you could have marketed as that. But we got what we got in the marketing. So I'm not someone who's, oh, Joe died, da da da. Even how he died, like, I'm not someone who's arguing for that. It would have been better for, you know, just to get a little bit of story going on before, and then have that happen, and then, like, if you played it out better, it would have been fine. Have Abby be a different character. She's not associated with a Joel just yet. And then when that happens, then we're kind of like, we're grieving with Ellie, and we're like, you know, fuck that, we're getting revenge. And then we get her flashbacks, and then we have day 1 interacting with both of their stories, and then you could kind of, you know, show the different aspects. You saw that was the biggest flaw in the game. Now, granted, it's a little better in the story, even if you do it the same order. It's a little better in the show because you don't have to just focus on Ellie, and you can cut like how they cut. I was like, why are we seeing this? We're not going to get this for at least a year and a half minimum. So there's no point to see Isaac talk about the attack and talk about Abby and Owen and Mel not being there. Now, if they had that scene afterwards, and maybe it took place when they're on a boat, all right? So you kind of like, I mean, obviously it'll be a little different. It'll be like, after this, we're gonna have to figure out where she went, where, oh, da da da. But then we see them, like, we know what happened to them. We think they didn't show up because they got caught up in the storm and then Ellie killed them. But no, it's really the story that we're gonna get. But, you know, you have that little benefit of not having to just be focused on the playable character. But now, let's say everyone was rocking with Ellie and Bella Ramsey's portrayal and everything going on with Ellie stuff. Now you get to season 3 and it's like, who cares? It's just like when you played the game. You had an hour or less than 2 hours as Abby, and you know that she's like trying to go for someone. You can put it together, it's probably going to be Joel. She goes and she kills Joel, and then we don't see her for a good while, and now we're supposed to play with her character. We don't care. Nobody fucking cares. I'm gonna get like gaming channel description down below. When I play through the game and I get to those parts, and especially when I finish it again, then we're gonna get, because I don't want, like, if someone's seeing this video and they're only watching the show, like, that's how, like, that's why I said, like, oh, I mean, if you're watching a reaction, Patreon description down below, but I was like, hey, if you're, you know, watching this as a excuse me, if you're watching a reaction to an episode you haven't seen and you get spoiled, that's your fault. But like, if you're watching a reaction to a show or a review to a show, that's what I was talking about when I was talking about Jesse's death. It happened this episode, so like, I knew it was gonna happen this episode, so I can say it. But I shouldn't. I'm trying to speak a way that's not gonna spoil you for upcoming events if you only are watching the show. And honestly, you're one of the lucky ones. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I feel like it should be. I feel like you should absorb media adaptation first and then source material, because 9 times out of 10, but unless we're talking about like The Boys or something, or The Warriors, the original is gonna be, and when I say The Warriors, I mean the book. I mean, honestly, you could go either or, book, game, book, movie, game, but 9 times out of 10, it's the source material is gonna be better. So like, you're gonna go from source material and you're gonna be let down when it comes to the adaptation. This had a potential. This had the opportunity to be better. Be better. And then the introduction to some scenes when they had like the talk show and them talking about the cordyceps, I was like, oh, that's kind of a good scene to add. And then even though season 1 had its flaws, I was hopeful that they could have turned part 2 into something. But obviously they didn't. Because Neil Druckmann is just a complete buffoon, I guess. He's just like, that's tough. That is indeed tough. But I forgot. I was saying something before that whole Jesse shit and the spoilers. Oh, I was gonna gaming channel. I was gonna talk about like in depth of the entire story, and with also the entire story of how it will go in the show. But you make us play and we don't care about her. That's why I said, hey, we get these stories, like speed play through it, and then they're like, oh, they were both wrong. Okay, that's debatable. That's debatable. I already said, like, listen, y'all should have had Ellie been fine with it, or however you want it to be. Or have it where it's like it was something where it was not like behind their back and discreet and like, oh, we're being sneaky, and then have Joel do it anyway. Then it's like, okay, is Joel, like, if let's say Ellie said yeah, and then Joel was like, he was about to walk out the door and he was like, and then he turned around and killed him, you can understand it, but you'll kind of be like, Joel, come on, bro. Even if you understand that, how is this production of possible cure gonna actually be happening? But at least they gave Ellie the opportunity to be notified. Like, you could have gone either way. Made Joel just say, forget that, I'm doing it anyway. And the people who are parents might have understood more and been like, okay, yeah, I understand it. Even if they would have been like, oh, that would have not been the right thing to do. But no, so we talk about, oh, they were both wrong. I'm not gonna lie, Ellie's more wrong in the show, so that's tough, but we'll get there when we get there. I can see someone saying she's wrong in the show, because they're not doing it justice, bro. And it's kind of ironic. Everyone's talking about Bella, but then we just see these past couple episodes, Hey, Bella, it really don't matter what you do because the writing's not gonna let you. They not gonna let you do whatever to make this well. You wanted to fight the wolves. Listen, I don't have the controller in my hand. You're losing that fight. It is what it is. Even if you get shots off, you don't know if they got other people around the area that's gonna pull up on you. Also, he said it's 2 blocks away. You want to draw attention 2 blocks away was supposed to be the rendezvous? Come on, man. But, you had the opportunity to actually make this S tier. Right now, the only S in this tier is standing for shit. And it's a shame because, like, I'll be like, "Oh, that's a good detail. Oh, that's cool." Da, 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 da. And then you'll do something completely retarded the next scene. I'm like, do y'all like compliments, bro? This shit is fucking ridiculous, dude. And I can't even say completely what I want to say because, like, I gotta kind of like phrase it in a way where I'm not spoiling for people who haven't played the game. But if you want to constantly hear me, if you want to hear me, like, and even when I do the playthrough, I gotta kind of voice it of, okay, I'm gonna talk about the show from this point, and I'm gonna talk about the game from this point. Right now in the game, I was supposed to do it a couple days ago, but bro, that's tough, man. That's tough. I had to stay up 2 days in a row. It's tough. That was not happening. That stream was not about to happen, especially with the time constraints that I was gonna have. But I'm at the part where they pull up at the fob. I think I said that's where I was last time. So when I stream it next time, which will be, maybe this video will go out on Wednesday, possibly. It'll go out the same week. Whenever this video goes out, this Thursday on this week, whether the Thursday passed already or the Thursday's coming up or the Thursday is today, whatever it may be, I'm streaming on the gaming channel. And I'll probably get to where, when I was saying if you've seen the reaction where I'm saying, oh hey, why is Ellie going through a similar story, I'll probably get to that moment. Basically, why Abby was AFK, I'll probably get around that area. Possibly, we'll see. But it's gonna be it for this one. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. If you liked the video, make sure you drop a like, share it with your friends. Stay tuned for the next one.